Meeting setting companies, best practices for leads. Why meeting setting companies are everywhere, and why that's risky. If you sell B2B, you're getting approached by meeting setting companies non-stop, and for good reason. The global B2B lead generation services market is projected to grow from $2.4 billion 2023 to $6.5 billion by 2032 at an 11.8% CAGR, which means more vendors competing for the same buyer attention. When more options hits your inbox, it's easy to buy meetings that look great on a report and do nothing for pipeline. The core problem isn't whether sales outsourcing works, it's whether your program is designed to produce held, qualified conversations that convert. If the only KPI is meetings booked, you'll get a calendar full of no-shows, wrong personas, and prospects who never asked to talk. That's when AEs quietly stop attending, trust erodes, and the vendor gets blamed for issues that were actually definition and process gaps. We approach meeting setting like a revenue system, not a scheduling service. At SalesHive, we've been building and running outbound programs since 2016, and we treat our work like an extension of your team. The right targeting, the right offer, the right handoff, and tight reporting that ties activity to outcomes. What a meeting-setting company should do, and what it shouldn't. A legitimate B2B sales agency that provides appointment setting should operate like a focused SDR agency. That means list building and data hygiene, multi-channel outreach, calls, email, and LinkedIn, light qualification against your ICP, and clean scheduling operations, reschedules, reminders, and accurate notes. When those fundamentals are strong, your AEs show up prepared and the conversation starts at discovery, not at, "So, why are we meeting?" What it should not be is a black box appointment factory that hides targeting, scripts, and conversion data. If you can't see the lists, sequences, call outcomes, and meeting reasons, you can't diagnose the real constraint, whether it's bad data, weak positioning, poor segmentation, or the wrong personas. Transparency isn't a nice to have. It's how you protect your brand and your budget. Also, don't confuse meeting setting with full cycle selling. Even the best cold calling services and cold email agency partners shouldn't be rewriting your entire positioning or negotiating complex pricing on your behalf. Their job is to create qualified, contextual conversations and hand them off in a way that accelerates your sales process. Reality check benchmarks for 2024-2025 performance. Pure phone-based appointment setting is harder than most teams expect. In 2024, it took an average of 9.5 cold call attempts to reach a prospect, and only about 1.5% of cold calls resulted in an appointment. So if a cold calling agency is dial only, your results will be capped. The winning play is persistent, tightly targeted outreach across multiple channels, where calls are supported by context from email and LinkedIn touches. Once a meeting is booked, the show rate becomes the next profit lever. Typical B2B meeting-held rates sit between 60 to 80%, and the teams at the high end don't get there by luck. They engineer it with qualification, clear expectation setting, double confirmation, and structured reminders. Down funnel, general benchmarks like call-to-appointment conversion often range 13 to 25% across industries, but complex B2B can land much lower. So your good is determined by ICP tightness, ACV, and cycle complexity. To keep everyone aligned, we recommend putting benchmarks in a shared dashboard from day one, then reviewing weekly in the first 60 to 90 days. The goal isn't to chase vanity metrics. It's to build a predictable system that improves over time as you learn what segments, messages, and offers actually create sales-accepted leads. How to evaluate partners, ICP, SLAs, and qualified meeting definitions. Most teams fail before the first call because they buy meetings without locking down targeting and qualification rules. Your meeting setting company can't hit a moving target, so we recommend a one-page ICP that includes included, excluded industries, company size bands, regions, required tech stack signals, target titles, and hard disqualifiers. Pair that with a written qualified meeting definition that covers persona fit, confirmed pain or use case, and a real reason to take a next step. Next, put the operating rules into an SLA, not an email thread. A strong SLA should specify meetings per month, minimum held rate expectations, how no-shows are handled, how reschedules are managed, what data verification looks like, and which metrics will be reported, including held rate and AE-rated quality. If you only contract on meetings booked, you'll incentivize lower quality by default, especially in pay-per-appointment lead generation models. Finally, insist on transparency and CRM integration. Your outsourced sales team should be able to show you sequences, call recordings, dispositions, and list sources, then push activity and meeting notes directly into your CRM. That's how you turn outsourced B2B sales from a vendor into an accountable outbound sales agency function that can be coached and improved. If you don't define what qualified means in writing, you're not buying pipeline, you're buying calendar activity. Build a multi-channel engine, not a single-channel gamble. The best programs mix calls, email, and LinkedIn because buyers don't all respond in the same place. LinkedIn is now a foundational channel. 89% of B2B marketers use it for lead generation, and about 40% say it's their most effective source of high-quality leads. If your provider doesn't include LinkedIn outreach services or a clear social touch strategy, you're leaving responsiveness and credibility on the table. We recommend sequences that run 20 to 30 days with consistent touches, where calls create urgency and email carries the detail buyers want to scan. Personalization matters here. When messaging reads like a template, you'll get template-level results. At SalesHive, we use AI-driven personalization to help scale relevance without sacrificing brand voice, which is especially important when you're running cold email agency-style volume alongside B2B cold calling services. Multi-channel also protects performance when one channel dips, deliverability changes, spam filters tighten, or connect rates slide. The most resilient programs treat channel mix as a portfolio and optimize weekly based on what's converting by segment, persona, and offer. Common failure points and how to fix them fast. The most expensive mistake is optimizing for booked meetings instead of held, qualified meetings. When booked is the win condition, standards drift and no-shows rise. So make booked to held rate and AE-rated quality non-negotiable KPIs. If you want incentives, tie them to held and qualified outcomes, not raw scheduling volume. The next common miss is a sloppy SDR-to-AE handoff. If meeting notes don't include the prospect's context, problem, current tools, timeline, stakeholders, AEs repeat discovery, prospects feel like they're starting over, and momentum dies. The fix is simple. Require structured notes in the calendar invite and CRM, and hold AEs accountable for reviewing them before the call. Finally, don't ignore list quality and data hygiene. Bad data creates bounced emails, wrong numbers, repeated dead accounts, and domain reputation damage that quietly drives up cost per held meeting. Require verification, regular list refreshes, and clear ownership for list-building services, because data decay isn't a one-time issue, it's an ongoing operating cost. Cost and ROI. How to compare in-house versus outsourced SDR programs. If you're deciding whether to hire SDRs or outsource sales, model it like a finance question, not a feelings question. Outsourcing SDR work commonly saves 40 to 60% versus building in-house when you account for salary, tools, management time, and ramp. That savings only shows up, though, when the ICP is tight and the SLA rewards held, qualified meetings. On a cost-per-meeting basis, one benchmark view is that a fully loaded in-house SDR can cost $821 to $1,150 per qualified meeting, while a solid outsourced SDR/meeting setting retainer often lands around $357 to $500 per meeting. That gap is why sales outsourcing is attractive for teams that need speed and flexibility, especially when you're still validating segments and messaging. The most important ROI habit is a quarterly audit of cost per held meeting using real numbers, retainer or per meeting fees, internal admin time, tools, and any deliverability/data costs. When you combine that with AE feedback on quality, you can scale what's working and cut what's not, without turning your outbound motion into a guessing game. What to do in the first 30 to 90 days to lock in results. The first month should be about calibration, not scale. Set up a shared dashboard, confirm CRM field mappings, and implement a required post-meeting AE feedback form with simple ratings for fit and next step. When that feedback is collected consistently, you can diagnose whether misses are ICP, messaging, channel mix, or execution, and fix the right thing. In weeks 4 through 8, run controlled experiments instead of random changes. Keep the ICP stable, then test one variable at a time: subject lines, call openers, offers, or segmentation by job function. This is where a good sales development agency earns its keep, by turning outreach into a repeatable process, not a rotating set of opinions. By days 60 through 90, your goal is to be operating inside a tight improvement loop. Weekly reviews, monthly QA on calls and email threads, and a clear agreement on what good looks like for held rate and quality. When you treat your cold calling team like a coached unit, whether internal or outsourced, you get compounding gains instead of recurring resets.